Thank you for doing this. Always a pleasure to chat, as we
Oh,
were just
you.
going over a minute ago. Some changes since last time, but also, since last time, another movie nominated for Best Picture, which is a whole other experience. Is that fun, or has it become a bit much by the end?
Both.
Yeah.
It's both. I mean, it's like you're very aware. I know you follow the award circuit and all that stuff. It's it's long. And for past lives it was really long because we were at Sundance and we kind of had to keep going throughout the year. Obviously me less than Celine and Greta, but it's just kept going and going. So obviously it's amazing to have film resonate with people like that. Uh, but there were moments where it's like, okay, I'm exhausted. But I will say the actual Oscars this year was a very nice event. It was great to celebrate it with our little group we had, and it was a nice like cap to a kind of whirlwind year.
Oh yeah, and you want to feel both, I think. I think if you only feel exhausted by it, where's the fun? Like it's great to have people say you're good at your job. And if you only think it's amazing, then you're like, okay, but this is all like weird and dumb. Like you're supposed to remember it's weird and dumb too. Like so I did it right.
Yeah.
And even beyond anything else, I think it's just probably real good for the soul to be like, okay, I definitely made a good decision when I signed on to this movie because
I
listen,
guess.
you don't work like the most in the world. Like you do seem to like wait until you see something that goes, well, I gotta do this. If they'll have me, I gotta do this.
When
Yeah.
I can, but like, I got a kid now and a
Good.
mortgage,
Oh,
so
we'll see you in Marvel soon enough.
things
Don't worry.
change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you pay how much? All right, I'll put on the suit, whatever. But no, I'm sure, even in the last couple of years, as the scripts come in, you still get offered a lot of the things you go, well, I've done that. So that's less interesting.
Yeah.
But how does
Yeah.
it feel when you get something that you haven't done or a film like this that is such a tonally different thing? Or even just, when you get excited by a script, how much better is that a feeling of? Because I imagine you get excited about like, well, I'm gonna go to work soon. Like this could work, that feeling.
Right. Yeah. So, it's true. I mean, I've now in a place, especially with like smaller indie films, where I am able now to say no more.
Yeah.
So that's a nice position to be in, being honest. And I love to read. Like I'm pretty open to read anything.
Yeah.
Um, so when like a script like LaRoy comes along and like it just keeps me engaged and I'm reading and I'm flipping the page and I'm laughing and I get to the end and I'm just know that I need to be a part of this. That's rare and it's also doubly exciting because it's something that I haven't really been given the opportunity to do, but it's something that these are the kinds of films that I really love. These are like the films like this are things that got me really into cinema and filmmaking. Coen Brothers, Blood Simple, Fargo, those things, and then like old noir and even some like classic westerns. I've said High Noon a lot.
Yeah.
All these things mixed in, and the challenge of playing something different, but having a script that is so solid. Uh, it's rare and it's exciting. But like unfortunately with this, when I signed on, it wasn't like we're going right away.
Yeah.
It took a lot of effort because this is a true, really scrappy indie. We had to go and get money, get a cast, get other cast, and really build it from the roots up.
Oh yeah. The less fun parts of okay, we need other people who will work for no money but also can raise money. All right, who wants to do that? Then when can we go? Who's available? Now, yeah, it's I imagine even, especially here, like you said, you read it and you like it and go, well, this is a movie I want to watch. So one, I hope it gets made. Two, I hope it gets made with me. Then you sit around and wait and go, well, is it gonna get made? Like that's probably not great for the anxiety to be like, well, what's happening now? I said I want to do this one. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, there's that's and now it's something that I'm used to. I think, you got to be realistic about stuff. I always had a belief in this one, and a lot of what held it up was COVID.
Yeah.
Really slowed everything down during that time. Um, but I've been attached to things that have fallen apart. I've been attached to things that have changed. You know, that I just that's how it goes in this business. But I'm glad that something that I really, really loved was able to make it all the way to the end. And it's just, you know, you do all you can not to obsess about it. You know, you try and luckily during that time I was working on other things so I could keep my focus elsewhere. And yeah, you do what you just have to sort of do what you can and not let it not it, you know, make you insane.
Oh yeah. And then once you're on set, I imagine it's just, especially something like this, it's fun. It's like I'm playing a part, but it's also, you're not going huge, but you're going just big enough that you're like, like acting with a capital A. Like, and you mentioned High Noon, like the Western aspect of it. There's at least one scene where there's almost like a glint in your eye of like, oh, I'm gonna have to do like an old-fashioned Western scene. Like
Yeah,
this is
I love it. Yeah.
awesome. Like
I
it
think Ray even feels that way to a degree at that point.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you know, the thing with indie films like this, where it's such a tight budget, is that unfortunately on set, and I was a producer on this too, it's not like all, you know, peaches and cream.
yeah.
Indie filmmaking is every day is a battle. You know, every dollar is a battle, and that doesn't that doesn't even stop into post production on things like this. So when you're doing this, it's really like about love and care and wanting to make something that you believe in. Um, uh, but I will say, when the camera was actually rolling, those moments were always fun. You know, with those other actors, Steve and Dylan, Matt, and Megan, it was just great.
Right. And there's especially producing it, there's a satisfaction when you get the shot. There's a satisfaction when you beat the sun. Like, oh no, like the sun becomes your enemy. Like, oh no, when it goes down, we're screwed. Like, we can't shoot any more of these scenes. Oh,
Sometimes when it comes up, you're screwed, and then
yeah,
you
you're
can.
like, wait, we planned against this.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
yeah, I imagine you have all those other things on your mind. You're not the only one, but you're a part of it. And then it's like, okay, by the way, go get in the character. We got to go in like two
Yeah.
minutes. You're like,
No,
yeah,
that's
let's
it.
do it. Let's rock and roll. It kind of imagine at its best, it probably feels like the high school and college kind of era of like we're just acting, like we're just figuring it out. Let's make it work. We don't have any money. Let's just act.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of the fun of indie films is
Yeah,
that you get to sort of that it is more of a team. You know, in studio films there is some team, but everyone is so. I mean, the expert is not the word I want to use. Everyone is usually so supported in their functions. You know, each department has so many resources. Everyone is doing their thing. That on those films, it's sort of you don't become as close with the crew
yeah,
because everyone's sort of in their own world. Like the actors are the actors, and the art department's the art department, props and blah blah blah. But on films like this, everyone sort of has to pick up slack for everyone else just because you don't have the resources. So
yeah.
it really is. It's like it's just the most, you know, grassroots, scrappy kind of filmmaking there is.
Yeah. It's the joke of like who's holding the boom or who's moving the lights. Whoever's got two hands, like let's do
Yeah,
it.
kind of. Yeah.
And I think the movies that work that are at at a smaller budget level, they have that feel. They have a tactileness where you're like there is a like a get up and go that hooks you in. I think, especially when you watch enough movies, you start to appreciate like, oh, there's some like blood in this movie, as opposed to, listen, studio stuff's great too. I want to watch big monsters fight here and there, but like there is something sometimes where you're like, I know why this movie was made, but I don't think anyone like not in a boardroom had a say in that. And that again, like doesn't mean it's bad, but you want to watch things. It's a rainy Thursday here. What do you want to watch? You want to watch something that like has something to say and draws you in, and ultimately you feel like you spent 2 hours that were, bettered your life in some way. And I think that's something you actually have a pretty good talent for. I think almost everything you make, you end
I
on
agree with you.
that.
Well,
Well,
thank you.
I said
But I,
almost.
think- but I think what you just said is a kind of, I think, a big selling point of LaRoy
Yeah.
is that this is a kind of movie. You know, I don't know if we talked this before, Joey, but like, I don't tend to watch my movies over and
Yeah.
over again. Like,
I
I'll watch
remember
it maybe once. But this movie, I've been, you know, I've watched like four times now because I think it's just a very watchable movie. The
Yeah.
characters are fun, and that's not like saying there's anything against, but sometimes like the heaviest things I do are tough to watch because it's a lot. It's
Yeah.
emotionally draining. Or sometimes it's just not movies that are like things that I tend to watch just on my time. But this I think is a movie that you could put on and watch because it's just engaging and there's laughs and it's exciting and there's mystery. But yeah, I think it's one of those kinds of films.
Oh yeah, no, it's an easy like it's a movie that I think, and I mean this as a compliment. Like years ago, you would have stumbled on cable, right? It would have been on just TV one day, and you would have gone, "This looks cool," and you just watch it and go, "Oh, I like that a lot." And that's how we're similar age. Like a lot of movies that I love, I just stumbled on as like Saturday afternoon, like local cable. Oh, I've never seen Back to the Future. What's that? Oh wait, suddenly it's one of my favorite movies. You stumbled on things and you develop an affection, and
Yeah.
I think a real good movie that hooks you in. And I think LaRoy does a really good job of that by being, I think, a lot of pieces of tone. It never feels out of place. Like the movie jumps from like some surprising violence to like some real good laughs, like you said. But ultimately, you're into what's happening, and you're really curious what happens next, which is maybe the hardest thing to pull off. It's a movie. It's only so many things that can happen, but you're like, what's this guy gonna do? You play him in such a way that you're not confused, but you're always like, he could zig or zag, and I don't know which one he'll do in any given scene, which is
Good. That's not, thank you. That's good. That's the goal.
yeah,
I mean, I always believe in it's our job to stay ahead of the audience. I feel too often, filmmakers uh, don't trust their audience and they want them to be either at the same place or ahead of the story. And I think that's just deadly. I think that's when it becomes uninteresting. I think that's when it becomes cliched. I really think it's our job to sort of keep the story ahead of
yeah.
and let the audience go on the ride.
Yeah, like, I think people are worried about like fooling audience, like they'll resent you for fooling them, and like one,
Yeah.
I like you don't necessarily feel fooled, but there is a one of the most satisfying things. Again, 300 movies a year for me. Like when you go, oh, we're like, oh shit, like that's like one of the most satisfying things. Like, oh, the movie like did a thing I didn't see coming. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's why I think movies that take big swings, obviously they're harder to make, but you get people like you who are passionate about it who go, like, what can I do to make this happen? Because we all want to feel that way. We all want to see something we haven't seen before and go, oh, that was awesome. And Leroy's a great example of that.
Even if it's reminiscent of stuff that, I mean, Fargo, like we were talking about movies that's a movie that if it comes on, I can watch it anytime on TV. It's just so, and the humor and everything. So, but even if this is reminiscent of like things like that, I think there is a new slant to it.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
No, it's very much indebted to, the Coens and
Well,
the
Shane will acknowledge, Shane's the first to acknowledge that. But
yeah,
I think also, we got to think we're older now,
yeah.
but so many people, you know, coming out of school in their 20s probably have never they know Fargo as a TV show, but
I,
they've never seen Blood Simple.
oh
They've
no.
never so they don't this is kind of a genre that is from a bygone era in a
Yeah.
way. So it's nice
I'll
to introduce it.
You say that, and as we wrap, I'll never forget doing an interview with an actress, filmmaker actress, and mentioning Ghost, and she didn't know what Ghost was. And I went, I'm gonna go die now. All right. That's
We're old men now, Joey.
I know. Like, and like we were young when that movie came out, but still, like we were aware of it.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you're killing it. So this is always a pleasure. I'm thrilled that something this kind of fun and offbeat is coming out, especially that it stars you. And can't wait to see what happens. Can't see what happens next. I feel like we're gonna see more of you on the awards path. So our paths will cross.
Thank you. Get some rest.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much for doing this. Always a pleasure to chat, man.
All right, see ya.
Take care.